Hi, my name is Carlo Volpe,
And I'm Desmond Silva,
and
and
welcome to
welcome to
Centerville
Centerville
Voice.
Voice.
Hey, everybody, and welcome to Centerville Voice. My name is Carlo Volpe, and this is my good friend Desmond. Desmond, how are you, buddy?
Okay, about you, Carlo?
Awesome, man. And thanks for coming back, everybody, and thanks for coming back, Desmond, as well. Episode 32. So let's get right into it. I wanted to start it off, and we've chatted a little bit earlier, but I just recently discovered um, Kevin Samuelson, or Samuel, sorry, that's his name. And
Yes.
and it's and I was watching a compilation video of his best moments and all of these things over the last couple of days. But one thing I've noticed about him is that, like, first of all, he's passed away, which is sad, right? But let's tell a little bit of people a little bit about it if you can. I mean, you know a little bit more about him, but yeah, go ahead.
So yeah, his moniker is that a lot of young folks have given him is the Godfather, and rightfully so. Kevin Samuels was like an image. It was about image improving one's image, and setting and improving relationships, making it so that people can become successful in relationships with between men and women, and in the family. And he really was giving a lot of young folks something that was missing in the lives of many people, many young folks, and that is a father figure. If you look at the demographics, and his main target audience was the Afro American community, though there were a lot of other folks who were not Afro American who listened to it, but that was his main audience, right? But there are a lot of non Afro American folks that followed him as well. So if you look at the demographics there, when it comes to single motherhood in the United States, the one demographic that is the highest rate of single motherhood is in the Afro American community, right?
Okay.
So so you have all these young men who grew up without a father, and also a lot of young women who grew up without a father. And what he and including Kevin Samuels himself, he also grew up without a dad.
Okay.
But of course, being a little bit older, what he did is he started this channel and he started giving out advice and um basically almost like raising a kid. He
Mm-hmm.
started giving advice to people that they would have never gotten if they hadn't come across him, or if they at least had gotten if they had a father in their life, right?
Exactly. Yeah, and one of the things that I really liked about him is that he, like Jordan Peterson, which we often talk about, he's really, trying to shine the light on the values and the benefits and just of conservatism, like we were saying, like that what conservatism, one of the things that conservatism does is conserve the family. And we realize now through studies in psychology that preserving the family is probably one of the most important things we could do. Probably the most important thing you can do, really, because statistics always show that the highest predictor of success, or highest predictor of happiness, highest predictor of safety, and all this stuff is a family, right? And is
Mhm.
and it's not saying you can't do it with one parent, of course, but you have a better chance with two parents. So I don't think it's controversial. Even it's just
It's not just controversial, it's evolution, like it's evolution, not revolutionary, evolutionary, as in biologically evolutionary. The human
we
species,
got here by doing that.
yeah, we got here by doing that.
It's
And
true.
you look in anything, any type of book, any type of scientific book, when it comes to biology, evolution, human development, child development, and you will see is that we're geared towards having a mother and a father in the in our lives. As a matter of fact, even more so with extended family, even gives us more better upbringing when we have mom, dad, grandma, grandpa, and
Uncles, aunties, everything.
those aunties, brothers, sisters, cousins, right?
Yeah, exactly.
So it enriches a child's life to have that, and you see a lot more confidence in kids that are in that type of big family dynamic than
Yeah.
if you had kids that did not, right? Uh, but also if the thing is, raising a child with just one parent is super tough.
Yeah.
And the thing is, and that our human ancestors, we discussed this in a previous episode,
Mhm.
how the women of our female ancestors realized this like millennia ago,
Yeah.
right? And so
Before men did, even, like, they were smarter.
oh yeah, Well, it's not. It was. Well, here's the thing, though. But for the man, remember what I said
Yeah,
about
it's best for both. Yeah,
the man's approach is different than the woman's approach. It's always always the case, right? If you look at the way that the man will approach rearing a kid and a woman where the woman rears a kid, it's very different.
it is.
The father will give a lot of exposure. The mother will get a lot of caring and safety,
That's
right?
right.
The
Yeah, the
father
father pushes you out of the nest, and the mother tries to keep you in.
exactly.
There's
Or
a
but
safety versus
yeah, now the father when he tries to push out of the nest, he does so in a manner that is controlled so that the child doesn't end up getting hurt, right?
exactly. They can learn
And
at a pace that's
exactly. And
digest.
dad's always there to catch you if you fall,
Yeah,
right? So but the thing is, if you look at that from a purely female perspective, it looks crazy.
yeah, that's true.
So
Like everything else, if you just take out one portion of it without the whole picture,
exactly.
often things look terrible. Yeah,
But you need both sides to it. So that's
exactly. So, and I've noticed that like those tributes, he's passed away, right? So you said Kevin
he
Samuels
passed away. Yeah, he passed away this past May of 2022,
away. Okay.
unfortunately. The
Well,
official autopsy stated that he died of high blood pressure, but there are some people who are skeptical about that because
wow.
of the circumstances that he was in. Apparently, this is what I've heard from hearsay on the internet. Is not
Mm-hmm.
an official statements, but there is that he was with he had met a woman and they had gone back to his place and there were drinks involved, and all of a sudden he basically grabbed his chest and said he needed help.
Wow.
When they eventually was taken in I think he was taken in the hospital eventually, and then he died. But the
Wow.
thing is, a lot of people think that okay, someone was trying to do him in because
Yeah.
of the fact that he was bringing a lot of Afro folks into the light. Because if you look at the history of the Afro,
And sorry to interrupt, and not just Afro, right? All of races. I was seeing comments from
yes,
every yeah.
the thing is though is that if you look at the history of the Afro-American family, right, they had a golden age around the time of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., right,
Okay.
where they had strong family bonds. They had where the importance of the father in the household and the mother in the household were equal, and they were promoted that way. It was very a traditional family that was there. And you saw in that time a lot of people like Dr. Martin Luther King come up because of that, right? So,
Like a good role models, essentially.
yes, essentially good role models came out
Really
during that
good.
time.
Yeah.
And you had
And role models again for everybody, not just
exactly.
black.
Oh, yeah,
Everybody.
like Maya Angelou and a whole bunch of other folks that were there. They
Yeah.
all had they were all coming out with great role models for the next generation.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, what we see here now is that the role after we've seen, what I guess actually it's kind of sad because the government made it so that the man wasn't necessary. Because if you look at the purpose of a woman to get a man in her life, okay, initially it is not just it is not just emotional, it's also financial. Kevin Samuels put basically double down on what I was stating before. He says marriage is not about love. It's a business, it's a partnership, it's a business proposition,
Hmm.
right?
And
So if
people don't like to hear that though. People
they
don't
don't
like to
want to
hear that.
hear that,
Nobody wants to hear that.
right? The whole love thing and the romance stuff came afterwards.
Yeah. Like a
So
Hollywood thing, I think. Wasn't it that started California?
Hollywood, yeah, Hollywood was a whole bunch of stuff. The
Yeah.
reason why we got such prissy, stuck-up girls these days who believe that they can have everything and anything without any accountability is due to Hollywood giving them them the Disney princess complex.
Well, and it's funny because at the same time, like also men were given this false idea, a lot of men, that you can have anything you want and a family's not important, go be a bachelor, go be this, you know what I mean? Like, so
That
yeah,
came afterwards. But here's the
you're
thing:
right.
what they
After,
were
yeah.
taught, the young men were taught by that thing that if you worked hard, right, that if you worked hard and you did all the right things, you could get yourself a good wife and have
Yeah.
kids and have a good family in a manner that's acceptable by society. No
Yeah.
one will look down on you for that.
Yeah.
And what happened though is with the breaking up of the family,
Yeah.
and then but you still have at the with the breakup of the family, the traditional family, with the increase in feminism and the increase in modern day misandry, and also the increase in hypergamy, you ended up with a a situation where young men start become disillusioned. Now you have things like the MGTOW movement, men going their own way, right? I saw a video of a young boy whose mama's telling him, so one day, it says, one day you need to grow up and you need to get married. Now, this kid was like, it looked like he was probably like 6 or 7 years old, maybe 8 years old, tops,
Yeah.
around there. He looked at his mom and was like, what? Married? I'm not gonna get married. I'm gonna get me a girlfriend. If she don't keep me happy, then I'm gonna dump her and I get another one. She don't keep me happy, I'm gonna get dump her and get another one.
Wow.
Little kid.
Yeah. Where are they learning that?
Because they're learning that from these other disillusioned men.
Yeah.
But whether you like it or not, if you want to point fingers at what the root cause is feminism.
Well, you know, it's funny.
Is
And
it
it's
the
funny you
way?
said that because it's funny that even, excuse me, even without official good role model, male role models, kids will always find a male role model, even the bad ones. That's the problem, right?
Yes,
They'll see
exactly.
ones online, they'll see guys on TV or YouTube or whatever it is. And if they're not shown good role models, they'll find, because it's in us, right? We'll look for a
Yes.
male to model. We'll look for someone
Oh,
that
there's
looks
a
like
hunger
authority.
for it,
Yeah.
especially amongst young men these days. Because they're being
Oh my God.
told they are terrible,
Yeah.
they are toxic just because they're men, just because
And
they're male,
and not
masculine.
even and not even just young men, guys our age are searching, guys like us, right, are still
Mm.
searching, 30 years old, 40 years old, even 50 years old. And that's why guys all ages are finding people like Kevin Samuels, finding people like Jordan Peterson, right?
Oh yeah, and
And
they're
it's
changing their lives. These guys who are doing this are changing the lives of young men all over the world and young women too,
yeah.
because there are young women now who are listening to these people, and there are even amongst this there's this one podcast where where Kevin Samuels was brought in on like remotely,
Okay.
and he argued that there's all these women who were these young women who were having the same stereotypical feminist Disney princess type of attitude and outlook on life, where they believe that, okay, that they can get a career, they could work till they're like 35 years old, wait till they're 35 or even 40 years old, get like 6 figures, and
Yeah.
then find a man who's going to be able to make more money than she does. Because the thing is that when she earns money, that money's hers. But when she marries a guy and he earns money, that money is also hers, which is
Yeah.
not fair.
No, it's not fair. But
So,
also, like I was gonna say, at the same time that women and girls growing up were sold basically a bad bill, right? And we were also sold a bad bill.
yes,
And so at the same time, we have both females and males growing up 80s, 70s, 80s, 90s, whatever. The females thinking they need more, and the male thinking we need to give them more. Like, what a second. We're all off page. Like
yeah,
we're all off
the
kilter.
whole happy wife, happy life
I
nonsense.
heard that. I heard that every day growing up.
Yeah, but it's not, so the proper way is not happy wife, happy life.
Because what's
It's happy
happiness?
spouse, happy house.
Yeah. Hey, there you go. That makes a lot more sense, right? And also happy parents, happy kids. That's a huge thing,
Happy
right?
parents, happy kids. Yes,
Like
happy
it's
kid. Yeah, you need, but the thing is, you also
and it's not just about
balance
happiness
both
too.
ways.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's not just about happiness. It's
yeah,
about what's right for your family. What's
exactly. It's about doing right,
best,
right?
what's good.
Yeah. I mean, you could hate. The thing is, you have their parents. You can hate your kids,
Yeah.
but it doesn't matter. You don't have to like your kids. You got to be able to do right by your kids
And love them enough to
and
do right.
love them. Yeah, right.
Yeah.
I still remember that there's one couple I know who went through a certain phase in their marriage where the wife was telling the husband, because she had this very idealistic view of her father who passed away early in her life, and when she got married, her husband didn't match up with her idealistic view of her dad.
Yeah.
Because she had what she up until she was like just a little kid. She like
Yeah.
she didn't get past grade 2 before her father passed away.
She had this image.
So she had this image of her dad that oh, he's my hero type of
Like
thing.
time capsule. Yeah.
Time capsule, very put take this image and laminate it, and it
Yeah.
lasts for life. It never goes bad, that type of thing, right?
And then the longer, yeah, and then it's like, yeah.
So
So,
so what happened though is that so she had, but because she went without it, that idea of that view of marriage all the way through to adolescence and all that stuff, she was wondering, when she started arguing with her husband, she started hating her husband.
yeah.
And she started wondering, how can you marry someone and stay married with them when you hate them? Okay. And the husband came back and says, it's not about love. We do this we're married. You do this to make each other better, right? And
Wow.
that's the truth. I know very well that by staying with my wife, I've changed a lot. She's
Yeah.
changed a lot. And generally you bring each other
Yeah.
to an ultimate goal, which is to be better.
You know, and
I don't put up with crap.
yeah.
Right? If my wife's right, she gives me a good argument, I'll say she's right.
Yeah.
Right? And I can tell when she's trying to say something where it's for my own good, as opposed to when she's being petty, right? If she's being petty, I'm like, no,
Yeah.
I don't work in that.
Yeah. It's, yeah,
If
I know
she's
it's
upset
weird.
because it's for my own good, I'm like, okay, dear, yes, okay, yeah,
Yeah.
right.
Well, it's funny because I mean, they have a different kind of wisdom too in a lot of ways, women. And I cherish my wife for that too. It's like they do think of things differently, look at things differently, which is good. We need that combination. We need that yin and yang kind of thing,
It
right?
is, yeah, exactly. A different side of the coin. Men
Yeah.
have their own strengths and weaknesses. Women have their own strengths and weaknesses.
And just to go back to the idea that I really do think that it was I don't know if it was a purposeful thing or it was an orchestrated thing, but the attack on the man, the attack on masculinity, like I mean, it's easy to say that just comes from feminism, but I guess it does, right? But then we talked about before, where does feminism even come from? The whole postmodernism, Marxism, all that stuff, right? It's like, so the question now is that like, um, there's so this Kevin Samuels and Jordan Peterson, and I guess what I'm trying to pivot to is like, there's a real reason why there's a grand awakening going on. I feel like, right?
Yeah,
And like we talked about earlier, did we get to the point where we were so crazy that it's only natural to go back now? Is the pendulum actually swinging back?
it seems that way. I mean, just
Seems
look
that
at
way,
Canada. Just look here
but
in
it's
Canada, right? Just look here in Canada. How many people are now voting conservative?
yeah, it's true.
We have not had a majority government. We have not had a majority government in a while now,
Yeah,
right? The Liberals have not had. I mean, the Liberals have been in power for a while, but they have not had a majority government for a while, long time now.
yeah,
Right? And that's because we had this insane craziness brought about by SJW type leaders like Kathleen Wynne and Justin Trudeau,
yeah,
with insane idea, very, very far left extremist
yeah.
ideas. I mean, if you want to label someone a fascist, Justin Trudeau, for all intents
Yeah,
purposes, is a
sure.
fascist,
Yeah.
right?
Well, you
Um,
know, it's funny. Even during the attack on the family is so often right. And it's from all even angles. I want to say even during COVID, I heard the city of Toronto putting out a notice saying to kids, you don't need permission from your parents to go get the COVID shot. You don't need this and that. And that's just another thing. It's
that's
like
not good.
I talk to my kids and I say nobody makes you do anything unless it goes through your parents. Nobody.
Exactly.
I go to school, nobody touches you at school without my permission. You don't take any drugs, you don't take any medicine, you don't take I mean, it's not because you're my kid and I want to no, I want to protect you. My job is as a father is to protect you, right?
Of course, you haven't sent. You have stakes in making sure that your daughters are protected. That's your flesh and blood. That's your legacy.
That's
Right?
right. And also I mean, like the old ways, they represent my family. They represent us.
Exactly.
I was told all the time when I was a kid, hey, when you leave this house, remember your last name, remember who you represent. And it's funny, I used to think that was crazy, but no, it's like, you are who you are.
Let me guess, your dad or your grandpa told you that.
My dad, every day, every day. But it's like, and now it mean, as you become a father, as you get older, it makes sense. All right. It all makes sense. You're like, hey, but, like, yeah, like you said about the COVID and all that stuff, it's like, like, there's no good. There can be no good coming from a government or a state
Mhm.
telling children not to listen to their parents.
Well, the
No good.
reason why they want to do that is because then they become easily brainwashed.
Separate
See,
even more. Break the
because
family
here's
up
the
even
thing:
more.
the government wants people to vote for them.
And they want independent people, right? They don't want groups. They want,
No,
like, not independent, sorry.
no, they want brainwashed people.
Brainwash people that would just
They want
listen to the government.
indoctrinated
Yeah.
people. So this is where the school system's messed up, especially here in Canada, right? If you here's a advice to every single parent out there who's listening to this. If you have the finances to send your kid to a private school, whether it's private religious school, like if you're Christian, send to a private Christian school. If you're Muslim, send to a private Muslim school. If they're Jewish, send to a private Jewish school. If they're Hindu, send to a private Hindu school, etc.
Yeah.
If you're not religious, send them Montessori. Montessori,
Exactly.
very good way of teaching your kid,
Yeah.
and it makes them very smart. Very allows them to think on their own. That's
Yeah.
a big thing. Independent thought, because what the modern day school system teaches you is how to be a cog in the wheel.
Fall in line. Yeah.
Fall in line, get in line. I mean, you look at the classroom, all the desks are in nice, neat rows,
Yeah.
right? And it is essentially the modern day school system is a relic of the industrial age.
That's right. They're producing factory workers, right?
Exactly. They're producing factory workers who can
Robots. Good
do a
robots.
repetitive task over and over again really well and fit into the cog in this grand machine,
Yeah.
right? With that, in order to support, well, I know it might sound a little bit like a Marxist, but it's in order to support the capitalist type of extreme capitalist type of
Yeah.
agenda, right?
Yeah.
So but the thing is with but the thing is, whether you're capitalist or Marxist, it doesn't matter, because whenever there's someone at the top who wants to have you follow their particular doctrine, the first thing they will try to do is, of course, indoctrinate you into it,
Yeah.
regardless of what that is, whether it's one side or the other. And what we're seeing today is a heavy indoctrination into liberalism, especially here in Canada. You see that a lot.
Yeah. We do.
So, I mean, there's like it's gotten to the point where the LGBTQ flag represents Canada's unspoken official cult or religion or state religion. Essentially,
Yeah.
what it is. Like they say that, oh, this, but a lot of people say, oh no, that's not. No, I said this before in previous episodes. Go to a country where there is a strong connection between religion and state, and you will see two. Well, you will always see one particular site that's there at every single government building and every single place. What you will see is the national flag at the very top of the flagpole, and right below it, it'll be the state religion.
Yeah.
I know this for a fact because that's how it is in Sri Lanka, my parents' country of origin,
Yeah.
right? If you go to Sri Lanka, the one flag beside the Sri Lankan national flag that you will see just all over the place is the Buddhist flag.
Okay.
I got no trouble with Buddhism, like honestly, and I think
Yeah.
that's fine. It's majority Buddhist, anyways,
Yeah.
right? The Catholics are a minority. The other Christians are minority, Muslims are minority, Hindus are minority. The vast majority of people are Buddhist. So what do you got? You got Buddhist flags all over the place.
Yeah.
Here's the problem with Canada. The vast majority of people in this country aren't gay. They're not LGBTQ.
They're actually Christian, believe it or not.
They're Christian or born Christian and not identifying as Christian or whatever, or that case is, or they're religious in general, right?
Yeah.
Whatever the case is, or agnostic, whatever you say, right? But But you still have the rainbow flag all over the place.
Yeah. And this is like it tastes to me, it tastes like pieces of the movements that separated the family. Like, well, how many families are going to be made up of all these different genders and all these different, right? I mean, if only men and women can make babies, however, that's debatable these days because there's 50 different genders. But if traditionally only men and women, right, a penis and a vagina can make a baby,
Yes.
then the family will disintegrate, right?
Mhm.
It will keep on disintegrating if if this populates or whatever it is. But I have a strong feeling though that it's not even close to as big of a number as it's shown in the media, right? It's such a smaller minority than it's made to be, and that's only that's only on purpose. There's
And
a
here's
motive.
another thing that's a side effect of it. Now, here's the thing: is that they've been wanting to, like, whoever is trying to orchestrate this thing. It's a combination of things that are there, but ultimately, what happens is you've got a bunch of little of movements that have come together to amalgamate what we have today, right? Feminism, communism, Marxism, right? And then of course you have the government, the push for big government, right?
Yeah.
So what these have resulted in, and also this the sexual revolution, which is tied in with the LGBTQ movement, right? Of course, that has also been added in there. So what you have is that the governments, first of all, they wanted to try and, of course, weaken the minority groups. So what they do, they had introduced welfare. What does introduced welfare mean? But not only how, but it's how they introduced welfare. They introduced welfare, particularly for women in the United States, such that any woman who had a child could have a welfare check, right, or get government subsidies. Okay. But the condition is that there should be no father there.
So they have to be single.
They had to be single.
To get
so you have the women had one or two
so
options.
What does subconsciously happen?
Yeah, so they had two options. You can either stick with a man who earns less than the government gives you, or ditch him and get more money. They chose the latter. A lot of them.
And then when that guy does that again, another situation. That's how you have not just every race, everything, but that's how you get one baby daddy with 50 baby mamas and whatever.
Well, that comes later. So here's the thing that on top of that is that you had the sexual revolution.
Yeah.
Right? Free love, free sex. Right? Alfred Kinsley, the pervert, who if you watch the previous episodes, you know the guy who basically worked with pedophiles and registered sex offenders to perform experiments on children as young as as young as little toddlers.
Oh, terrible.
Like I'm talking like babies, like months old, not just not even a year old. He's doing things like trying to figure out what is the youngest age that an individual can reach orgasm.
Jeez.
And I think the youngest one I saw in a documentary was 3 months.
Oh my God.
3 months.
That's insane.
Yeah. So this guy was a total pervert. He was against traditional Christian values and the traditional Christian family, right? And wanted to break every single Judeo-Christian norm there was, right? So not just Christian, but Judeo-Christian.
Yeah.
So that guy was the one, and he based, instead of the people in the upper echelons accepting going against it, knowing that this is bad, he was accepted by Hollywood and all that stuff. He even has a dramatization of his life story that's been put out by Hollywood not too long ago, right?
Really?
Well,
and that's the thing, like, so all those things, like, just to bring it back to the Kevin Samuels thing, right? Like, all these things, this is why we need guys like Kevin Samuels, right? Or needed a guy like Kevin Samuels, or like Jordan Peterson, or whatever. But let's go back to Kevin if we can for a second. So you were saying earlier, I think we spoke before off air, but when he passed away, like the social media had a heyday with this.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, you know, if you hear someone like Tupac, or Tupac's one thing, but there were other rappers who were basically saying, you know, that you know, treat women like trash, you know, shoot up a gang, you know, join a gang, shoot up your you know, some other guy, you know, using the N word. And those guys, when they died, it was God bless, rest in peace. But when Kevin Samuels, who was trying to bring up the Afro American community, who was doing a great deal for the community, and not just for Afro Americans, but for people in general, but did a great deal for the Afro American community particularly.
Yeah.
When he comes up, when he dies, Twitter is celebrating his
Oh,
death.
really?
Which is sickening as far as I'm concerned. That
Yeah.
man was a godsend as well as his godfather. He was a godsend to a
Yeah.
lot of young folks that really needed him. And he
Well,
spoke in a way that they could understand and they could relate.
he
Right?
was a no BS guy. Like I see his clips and he used contemporary words. He swore. He told people what it is. He basically tried to be a no bullshit guy, right?
Exactly.
But so who do we like? Who's left? Like, I mean, thankfully, when one person passes away, someone else will emerge. I don't know anybody else yet, but there are people out there, right? There are a lot of
There
people,
are a lot of people
and
coming
I
out.
feel like there is. I feel like it's swinging. Do you feel like it's
Yeah,
like
we've got people like Amala. I forgot her last name. I think it's because with an E. But she, this young lady she's on a podcast called Unapologetic,
okay?
and is partnered with PragerU. She is
Yes,
a former leftist activist, left-wing
really.
activist,
Okay.
and she's mixed race. And after being exposed to a lot of the issues with left wingers, and then also being exposed to people on the other side of the fence, and figuring out that, okay, the people on the other side of the fence aren't really the monsters that I was brain or indoctrinated to believe
Yeah.
that they were. She started having a little, you know, epiphany, and she switched.
Well, and I think that is so. Maybe it's just because I'm going through this now, but I feel like it's like this St. Paul moment where he
Yes,
used to be, you know what I mean, the people against
exactly.
the Christians, and now it's like he's going to be the biggest champion. And I feel
Yeah,
like me on certain topics, or like other people on certain topics, like that. It's almost what it takes sometimes.
yeah. And there's guys like Dave Rubin,
Yeah.
who's he's homosexual,
Yeah.
right? He's
Yeah. And conservative.
homosexual and he's conservative.
Yeah.
The thing is, if they asked when he was on one podcast with Amala, and but Amala says, you know, what about it says what do you feel about these people saying that in your community? And he's like, I'm gay, but I'm not part of that community,
Yeah.
right? I'm not part of that community. So but the thing is, they bash him because
Yeah.
if you're gay, if you're not white, if you're homosexual, if you're LGBTQ, and if you're an immigrant, or if you're a woman, and if you don't think a certain way,
Yeah.
they'll bash you. If you think a certain way, they'll put you up on a pedestal.
Well, it's funny because what happened to this tolerance that we were taught
Oh
was
yeah,
from the left. Like we were told that tolerance was the progress. Remember?
yeah.
Progress.
And now look what they're calling the new prime minister of Italy. They're calling her a fascist. But she's
Really?
yeah. But what does she like in Italian? You probably know the words better than I do, of course.
Yeah.
In Italian, she's what her motto is God, nation, and family. Right. The only word that I understood was familia at the end. Right.
Familia. Yeah. Yeah. What is it? God, family, and what else?
God, nation, and family.
Ah, yeah.
Which
Dio,
is
nazione, familia. Yeah,
yeah,
exactly. Like,
exactly. That's what she said.
yeah,
Right.
it's true. And it's like, and I think I actually heard her speak. I heard some Italian woman speak. I didn't know she was the prime minister, but and she's like, like you said, unapologetic. She's like, this is it. I'm doing this.
Yes.
Yeah.
And
No, I
that's
like it.
why we have people who are like Amala, who are on these things called unapologetic,
Yeah.
because conservatives and centrists are even people like Bill Mayer, who are
Yeah.
left of center, or who are left of center, who
Yeah.
never move from their spot, are calling out the stupidity that is there in amongst the woke left.
It's true.
Right?
I think a lot of people can relate to guys like Bill Maher because of that, because like of growing up liberal or center, right? And then realizing that the whole ball game has changed. So
Yeah.
yeah, I don't know. Let's maybe we should try and wrap this up a little bit. But in the end, so we need guys like Kevin Samuels. We need guys like Jordan Peterson. This, that girl you were mentioning.
Yeah.
Even like I don't know where
Bill
Candace
Mayer.
Owens
We
is
need
up to
guys
these
like
days.
Bill Mayer speaking more on the left wing side. Because
Yep.
say what you want about Bill Mayer, if you're conservative, I know that there's some stuff that he says I agree with, some stuff that I don't agree with.
For sure.
The thing is, Bill Mayer is fair when it comes to it. He's fair. He criticizes both sides equally, and I think that is admirable in him.
Yeah, and that's what you need to do. You're right. I mean, it's like you're never gonna if it was just one way from the right, it would be wrong too. So it does need to be both ways, right? And we need to check each other and check.
And if you look back to like I would not want to go back to like the 1920. That's for sure. Because God knows I'd be lynched by now. Just by
there you go.
At me.
Right? Yeah, it's and ironically enough is that as the years have gone on, many things have progressed good, but a lot of things haven't either. So it's that mixed bag.
Yeah, because someone forgot to know. Okay, we're at a good spot now. Let's put the brakes on.
Yeah,
that's what happened. Because a lot of people who are that are centrist are now being considered as conservative. If you look at the Conservative Party of Canada, the Progressive Conservatives that are here in Canada, they're not the same party that they were 20 years ago.
That's right. I feel like a lot of these new conservatives, right, like myself, even I would consider myself even though I consider myself a conservative, but newly conservative. It's like we found what we thought was the good norm or the happy medium. Like you said, we put the brakes on. A lot of people like us put the brakes on and go, hey, now let's conserve this. Yes. We did progress. We progressed to a point that was pretty good. Let's conserve that. And it's getting the conservatism is getting a bad rap because it's like, we don't want to go extreme. We're not talking about extreme. We're just talking about family and nation and God, like what the Prime Minister said.
Yeah, exactly.
So, yeah, man. I don't know. It's the debate continues, of course, right?
Yes, exactly.
But I mean, kudos and God bless, rest his soul. Kevin Samuels. I don't know what he thought about on a religious standpoint, but I know what he thought about from the family, and I agreed with him. So,
yep,
awesome.
So but guys, thanks for watching. We're at the end of our time here, so we will hope to see you guys in the next video. Make sure you like, subscribe, and leave a comment in the section in the comment section below.
Awesome. Thanks everybody. Have a good night. Hi, and thanks for watching this episode of Centerville Voice. If you like what you see, don't forget to share, like, comment, and subscribe. And if you're watching this on YouTube, also click on the notifications icon to make sure you'll get notified on all of our new episodes every Friday. By sharing and liking this episode and all of our episodes, it really helps to promote the channel. And by sharing these episodes, it helps to promote our word and get the word out. If you like what you see and hear, please consider becoming one of our supporters on Patreon. 10% of all Patreon supporter donations we receive go directly to our charity of the year. This year, our charity of the year is the Terry Fox Foundation. You can visit us at centervillevoice.com to learn more and engage with us on one of our social media platforms. Thanks for your support, and we'll see you again in the next episode. Peace.